Start recording. Hello, guys. Welcome back. I just wanted to make a quick video on this. I'm sure whoever watches this, you already know, but Jehovah's Witnesses have done a complete full backpedal on their bicycle, and they have now given the governing body, that is, has given Jehovah's Witnesses excuse me, has given Jehovah's Witnesses freedom to a higher education, which is what everyone in America is born with. But this is supposed to be worldwide. So this is supposed to be worldwide change that the governing body has rolled out. Governing Body Update 5, August August 22nd, 2025. Excuse me. And it doesn't surprise me that this is what they're doing. Excuse me. With facing all the backlash that they have faced. And I mean, I don't know how this thing is going to turn out, but also I believe that this has something to do with with them being pressed up against the wall with everything that's going on, especially with everything that's going on in places like Norway. I mean, but honestly, I'm just saying, there's no way that they can sit there and say, for however many years, was it 110 years, I'm going to say, because that's whenever they said that they're counting it from like 1914 onward and whatever. So even though that's already been blown out of the water, I don't know how many times, but basically this is their 111th year, I believe, and they have, within the past 2 years, they have changed so much. And not because they want to, or because they see clearly that people, especially children, should be trying to, have a good education, but also that they are discouraging it for decades now. Decades. And of course, they're going to expect people to say, well, see, hey, look at this. We're not so bad. We allow our members to get a higher education. We allow Jehovah's Witnesses to get a higher education now, is what the governing body says. But for how many decades, how much harm have they caused because they discouraged a higher education and really bullied people over trying to get a higher education from the first mentionings of it coming out of someone's mouth, because Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to basically speak whatever it is that they hear from the governing body. So for decades, Jehovah's Witnesses have wanted to leave college completely out of the lives of the rank and file and just say focus on Jehovah. You can read Watchtower and Awakes, and what is it, like 7-8 years to get like a college level education from reading Watchtowers and Awakes, which, I mean, it's there. It's material to read if that's what a person chooses to do. But the same thing, calling the information that you put out the same as a higher education for college or whatever, there's no way that you can sit there and say that those two things are the same thing and not be harming anyone's future in the process, because that's what they have done for decades. And I'm sure that because of this, because they've made changes, you're not like everything that someone has said in the past, or articles that they've written in the past. They're going to do what they always do, and they just tell well, that part of Watchtower is no longer part of Watchtower. Actually, we've cut off the the dates for how far you can go back for things, because that's what they want regular witnesses these days to do, is just only look at what they're saying on the screen and not actually dig into the history of Watchtower. Um, so, uh, this is from avoidjw.org. I chose this site because it has a lot of things that have it brings out a lot of things that I experienced in my life and that I had to go through in my life. So I wanted to talk about it because this is something that I can actually uh, relate to, and have seen families just absolutely just kick their kids out because they wanted to go to college, and because they wanted to go to college, they're not following the society's orders, so they kick them out of the house. Instead of helping their kids get a higher education, they do what Watchtower says and uh, berate them and gaslight them and do everything that they can to make sure that all their children do is go to meetings, go to service, have some whatever low paying job, and just uh, talk about whatever Watchtower talks about for the rest of their lives or whatever. So anyway, right here it says a day that many active and former Jehovah's Witnesses never expected to see has finally arrived. What happened? What did I do? Did I break it? Okay, no. Has finally arrived after decades of pressure, scorn, and adversity directed at millions of Jehovah's Witnesses who sought attempted to pursue higher education. The organization has now taken a dramatic turn in its doctoral stance. I wonder why. Even though Jehovah's Witnesses claim that, for instance, I don't know how many assemblies I have been to in my life where they have a whole entire section about higher education because they don't want them to pursue it. They want them to stay within Watchtower, give them their money, give them their time, and then that's it. So for them to take this sudden turn is well, it says it here. It's something that a lot of people never expected to see. Also, if you do happen to watch this video, it is. I'm not gonna watch it, but it is something. It's like it's just so much bullshit in it. But basically, they just go over talking about a higher education, but because at least this happens in the video, because I think it was an elder or something. I'm not sure, or I believe it was someone that was an elder that was getting deleted because they encouraged their one of their family members to pursue higher education. That was one of the things that was brought up in the video, but also that even though they are pursuing higher education, uh, because it pertains to something about the world, and because the family isn't looked at as being spiritual for attaining a higher education, they are degraded and or not. Sorry. Well, yeah, you know what? They view it as uh, degrading, but they're forced to step down from their positions. Uh, So David Slinn announced that that additional education is a personal choice, and that elders should not judge a person's choice to do so. I don't know how many times I've also read this when it's either pertaining to elders in the congregation or other members of the congregation about judging others for their decision, because I mean, as soon as someone from a family uh, said, we want to, this child is going to go and pursue higher education, the elders were the first ones to walk in and say something about it, or someone would run to them and tell them to try and discourage the family from letting their child go to pursue higher education. So now you just you just roll out some update that says elders can no longer judge a person's choice to do so. But in that case, I bet you anything also, uh, there's going to be a lot of congregations where people see this, they do it, and then they will face repercussions within the congregation for doing so. Because that's just how it is. Why does this matter? Why might such a drastic change before? Sorry. Why might such a drastic change bring more discouragement than relief for both active and former witness? While outsiders may find it puzzling, those who have lived under the Watchtower's authority understand that restricting what members are permitted to learn or teach has always been a defining mark of organizational control. Absolutely. And not only permitting what others learn or teach, but also ask questions. Never want to ask the wrong questions in the Kingdom Hall. Avoid JW knew this day would come soon, since there have been many sudden and surprising changes to this late 1800s dogmatic religion known for its controlling roles, mainly in the past 3 years. Um, so in the 90s, this is the generation that I'm from, so this is what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about some of the articles that are posted down here. But yeah, there was like a whole brochure that they put out, Jehovah's Witnesses and education regarding different types of education the religion relies on. Not only that, but I just I just can't fathom that for my whole childhood, teenage years, was told you don't need to have a good education. You can just drop out of school. You can get your GED, and boom, you can be a pioneer, and your life is all set. And that's the the rhetoric that every Jehovah's Witness child grown up in the truth hears, because that's what this society has been pushing. They've been pushing that they are against higher education unless they are the ones that are teaching it, which is very weird. Especially because of all the building products that Jehovah's Witnesses like to do, and then they're looking for people that know stuff. No one knows anything because you told everyone not to go to school. I mean, really. Um. So, yep. This is this is the part that I was gonna get to down here. Um. Explicit discouragement intensifies. So I'm only just gonna go over this little part because this is what has affected me in my life. Um, but this goes all the way back to the 70s. Actually, no, this goes all the way back to the beginning. Photodrama of Creation by C.T. Russell regarding colleges' teachings, higher criticism. Deception is Satan coaxing to pursue college. And you best believe they ran with this from 1914 up until August 22nd, 2025. So uh explicit discouragement intensifies. The Watchtower, October 1st, 2005, page 28. Higher education was described as an unnecessary and a distraction, urging young witnesses to pursue vocational training or work or part-time work that supported the ministry. So, of course, they want the witnesses to go to vocational training so they can then use them to build kingdom halls for free. Um, so, you know, don't pursue an higher education. Go to whatever school we tell you to, and then work for us uh, for free. Kingdom Ministry, April 2008. Are You Remaining Watchful? Higher education was called a snare that leads to pride, debt, and poor spiritual health. Well, guess what? No education also leads to debt. And, I mean, if you're following this, you probably already have poor spiritual health anyway. Because what kind of society looks at education and says, no, no, we don't need that. They give us our education. They tell us what to read. They tell us what to say. They tell us what to think. They tell us what to do. And that's all we need. Because that's what they've been doing for the past over 100 years to people that want to have a higher education. I uh, I actually did drop out of high school when I was like 16. I was like super depressed though. That was one reason for me to drop out, but also, you know, um it's like different when other people are like encouraging you to do it, want to drop out. And it's not the people, that like are sitting or like skipping class, smoking drugs, and uh going out to parties on like a fucking school night. It's your family. It's your family telling you to drop out of school, and you're already super depressed and struggling because this is what will be better for you in the future. That's what it's like growing up as a Jehovah's Witness kid. Uh, it's like every bad decision doesn't come from the kids that like to make trouble. It comes from the watchtower, or it comes from your family because your family only listens to the watchtower. 2010 continue warning. So many assemblies in the 2010 era about, especially when they started bumping up video production, which was like I think in 2014 or something. So many things they put out, including, and they had this little like Jehovah's Witness school show or whatever that they broadcast, and it was supposed to teach kids how to deal with like bullying, how to deal with when teachers expect, or when some part of the school expects you to be there during a meeting night, or when they're coming to talk to you about getting ready for college and what type of career you want to pursue in college. It teaches children how to say no to all that, unfortunately. So 2010 was a big era in Jehovah's Witnesses, or well, yeah, and uh, Jehovah's Witnesses discouraging people from a higher education, and not only discouraging them, through video, but also discouraging them through leadership in the congregation and also in their own home. So you now have three things that you directly interact with. You have the videos, you have the whatever leadership is in that kingdom hall, and you have your family. So that's three things that you are expected to interact with that goes against you getting a higher education that is right there in your face constantly growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. The Watchtower, June 15, 2011, page 31 asks, what will you do with your life? And Discourage University, contrasting it with pioneering or Bethel service as a better choice. Of course, this is what they always do. Work for us for free and give us your money. Um, is what the Watchtower has always put out on on education. Uh, Awake, September 2011, page 21, reinforce that secular education should be kept simple, warning of bad associations at colleges. This is another way that they would also tell people not to go to college because it's bad association. Your kids could be doing drugs, they could be having sex, they could be uh, going to parties and end up in jail or something like that. And it was constantly beating down a higher education because not because of something in in like looking at it like really why they're saying this. They're not saying this because something could hurt you. They're saying this because they don't want you to leave, and they don't want you to get a better education because then you'll see their tricks and you'll wake up and then you will leave and you'll never come back. And that's very bad to them. Do Jehovah's Witnesses shun education 2018? While presenting a softer tone, the FAQ still stated, sorry, we do not encourage prolonged career-oriented education, such schooling can lead to bad associations, materialism, and weak spirituality. So I know a lot of people that wanted to be macho guys and didn't, looked at it like this, but really got stuck on the word weak here, and they didn't want to be perceived as weak, uh, which is, up to them. But they make sure that they put the word weak in there because you're not doing what they say. So if you're not doing what they say, then they teach you that you're going to die. If something is weak, it's vulnerable, and it can perish, it can die. And that's the part of the fear mechanism that they put into it. So not only do they discourage you, but they also use fear mongering to make it scary so people don't want to do it. Here's another thing: themes and warnings. Across the decades, several consistent themes emerge. Time is short. University is portrayed as a waste of precious time before Armageddon, right? Like, who wants to waste all those years in college when the fucking end of the world is coming, man? The end of the world is coming. Who wants to waste time in college? Um, Mortal danger. Higher learning is described as exposing youth to immorality. Oh my god. Atheism and apostasy. So high moral danger from higher learning, because no matter where you go in college, you're going to be exposed to some immorality, atheism, and apostasy, according to them, which is ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure, there's a bunch of people in college fucking, and there's some atheists there, and maybe there's some apostasy going around too, but that's not the whole of college. Materialism. College is linked to worldly ambition and financial debt. Okay, I mean, college is linked to living uh, living life with a well-paid job, so they say, and financial freedom. Uh, if you get a scholarship. Um, but Watchtower doesn't like to look at things like that when they want their people to only look at them. So they're going to throw every bad word they can in there to discourage people from doing it. Spiritual priorities, ministry, pioneering, and Bethel service are portrayed as superior choices. Absolutely. For years, I was told that all I needed to do, and I'm sure I'm like all of us were told, all XJWs were told this. All you need to do is have your spiritual priorities. Make sure you're active in the ministry. You can pioneer, and then you can go to Bethel, and you can live at Bethel, and you can do whatever free work the society wants you to do while you stay there, trapped in their echo chamber. Impacts on Jehovah's Witnesses. Career limitations. Many witnesses avoid professions requiring university training because they're beaten down. They are they're they're beaten down mentally for choosing so or even speaking it. And I mean, it's wild to say, but I've talked when I was still a witness. I've talked to witnesses that say that they're going to university, but try they try to keep it hush hush because they don't want they don't want it to get out there that they're going to college. Like, going to college is supposed to be a good thing. Going to college is supposed to be, you know, uh, your some of your like best years if you go to college to like a university and live in like a dorm or whatever. It's your chance to get out to see your first impressions as a world outside. Sorry, see the world's first impressions from outside of your parents' house. Um, Retention issues. Young witnesses who pursue higher education were often portrayed as spiritually weak or rebellious, and the Bible's full of examples of how uh, uh, rebellion leads to death and stuff like that. And elders absolutely will, they'll stick you inside of a little elder meeting, and they'll or a little what is it like? What the hell do they call that? I forgot. A shepherding call or something, where it's like two elders in the back of a room, and they would just berate you with horrible things that could happen to make you scared so you won't do it, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous what some Jehovah's Witnesses had to go through just to graduate high school. Forget going to college, just to graduate high school, because this didn't stop at college. This went into the high school. And I don't remember the year, but I do remember the article. Uh, it was somewhere around this time period. It may have been 2006, something like that. 2005, maybe a different article. But it actually stated that people can live the same life if they drop out of high school than if they graduated high school, so they could spend even more time focusing on their ministry and their spirituality and whatever else. And it's just a bunch of bullshit. That's something that I was encouraged to do. I was encouraged to drop out because I had a lot of depression, and I didn't have any means of aiding it. I fell victim to it, and I did drop out of high school. And I did start, going out in service or whatever, only to realize sometime down the road, hey, this is just a big, huge scam, and you should have stayed in school. But it's too late now. I did get my GED, so that's something. But staying in high school would have been way better. But unfortunately, I and like many others were told, "Hey, if you drop out, you'll be fine." Um, Social pressures, congregation culture stigmatizes those who enrolled in university. Absolutely. Um, so, like I said, you have three things that you interact with as if you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Uh, you have the congregation, you have the videos from the governing body, which you're told to obey and listen to like your life depends on it. So, you're always listening to eight men. And you have your family. Well, the videos tell the congregation and the family what to do. And so it's one person that's trying to go to university against all these people, that instead of encouraging to them and being happy, like, oh, I hope you have a good time, and taking interest into what they're going to be studying or whatever else, they just completely discourage it. And when it I honestly feel like social pressure is putting it lightly. Like, it's putting it very lightly, because I have seen people get berated because they wanted to go to university, and they have to sit there and fight and fight and fight until they finally leave the house. And that's one of the most exhausting things about being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, is that if you want to do anything for yourself in your life, you have to almost fight against everyone to do that, because of how brainwashed they are with the doctrine. And that's something else. The Watchtower Bible Tract Society has spent all these years teaching people to berate, to pressure, to change their course of life, teaching people how to program someone to change their course of life for the worst, and telling people to do it. And people have been doing it constantly, 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 discouraging younger people from pursuing a higher education. And just because David Splain goes up there and says something on the video that they now allow it, that's just going to stop at the snap of a finger? No, it's not. People are still going to do this. People are still going to discourage kids from getting a higher education within Jehovah's Witnesses, and it's sad. Like, even though they cannot, you know, they may not have, or maybe they cannot say that they had the backing of the society or whatever, it's still going to be there. It's still going to be within the people that have had that drilled into them for years, that they should pressure young people to stay away from university. And that's not going to go away overnight. It's not. Retention issues. Young witnesses who pursue higher education were often portrayed as spiritually weak or rebellious. I think I've already read that. From the 1950 onward, the Watchtower has constantly discouraged higher education, shaping the life path of millions of Jehovah's Witnesses. While the tone has shifted, something sometimes softening the emphasis, personal decision, the underlying message remains clear. Higher learning is unnecessary and spiritually risky. Absolutely. This is all that they believe in all day. And I do like how sometimes softening to emphasize personal decision, this is what they're still going to say. This is what they're still going to do. Because it's just what they've been taught all this time, and it spreads like like an infection inside of a chamber, because this is all that people are being taught and told to say, so that's all that they're going to do. Any future shift toward calling education purely a matter of conscience would represent a significant uh, doctrinal and cultural reversal from over half a century of constant organizational discouragement. This is another reason why people are not going to flip overnight, because you have built this into your organization. You have built this. You have given it. You you have given it a body so that it may manifest its will, and it's going to keep on happening. This is not going to go away overnight. It will not. And I'm just saying that because I know that even though this video is out there, there are still children that are within Jehovah's Witnesses that want to go to college and may not because of the pressure that they face. And it's sad. It is sad. And, I like how it says shaping the life paths of millions of Jehovah's Witnesses. Yes, it does. This is what Jehovah's Witnesses do. Jehovah's Witnesses will shape your life. Will it be for the better? I mean, if you're not looking to do anything outside of what they say, then, and you're just happy living that life, then, that's you. But if you want to go out, then what they're shaping you for is going against what you want to do. So it's going to be even harder once you have been molded by them to want to go and to do these things. And that's the part of getting baptized that's like so dangerous, because they will slowly mold your mind into thinking that their way is the only right way. And it's just like the saddest loss of life ever, because not because you're dying, not because you're dead, but because you have effectively decided to, sorry, you have effectively let others talk you into putting yourself in a box and never coming back out again. Any, yeah, I think I've already read this. Additional change along with governing body update 5. Yeah. Um, Another point raised by Litchwood, an advocate exposing Watchtower's teachings, is that this governing body update frames the shift using the term additional education. While reminiscent of higher education, the choice of words is deliberate. Higher implies education or superiority, whereas additional feels optional or unnecessary. I like how they brought that out, and they're right, it does. Because additional education, I don't think I've ever heard the term additional education until until now. Honestly, I don't like. I don't honestly don't even think that I caught it when I was watching that video. Because they're right. This does downplay education, and instead of making it say higher, and of course, Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, they think that they're the best. Nothing is better or higher than they are. So why would they use the words higher education? Um, yeah, it implies superiority, whereas additional feels unnecessary. Subtle signaling that pursuing education beyond the beyond what the organization provides is discouraged, according to Larchwood. This linguist nuance reflects the underlining intent to maintain control over members' learning. And this is the most this this is honestly the most scariest thing about Jehovah's Witnesses. And something that you really don't realize until you actually do wake up, until you do go out and you do your own research, and you make yourself wake up to some things that might not be so pretty, but it's there. It's that Watchtower operates with the power of mind control because that's all that it knows how to use. So, and I don't care what they say. I say having control over what a person learns is the same thing as mind control, because you're you're controlling what they choose to put into their minds. That's fucking mind control. I don't care. And it's wrong. It's wrong. But high control groups like this, they don't care about the members. They care about the money and how much work they can get out of everyone for free. Um, Here are some just other posts of Some of these I actually do recognize. Like, are you making Jehovah's thoughts your own? So basically saying you as a person should not have your own thoughts. That's bad, which is ridiculous. Um, yep, they bring it back up. If a treacherous heart, uh, which is another thing that I just remember hearing. No, you don't want that. Only your heart wants that. Only your heart. Your heart will absolutely mislead you, and it will get you killed. You don't need to do that. You have enough education right here. This is just things that I was told when I was uh, growing up in the Jehovah's Witnesses. Um, you know, does the Bible discourage education? There are parts in the Bible. Some of them, I feel like most of them are part of the Christian Greek scriptures or something like that. New Testament, I'm going to say, part of the New Testament, where they do talk about a couple of the apostles going to school and things like that. So even back then, it was something that was looked at that, yeah, having going to school and getting a higher education is pretty normal. But when Watchtower gets a hold of the Bible, it likes to twist its words into, saying otherwise through their magazines. How do Jehovah's Witnesses view education? Yep, higher education can lead to moral or spiritual dangers. That's always taught. Higher education can uh, can really mess you up in life, according to them. Um, and this is what children are taught. And children are not taught this. And the reason why I'm saying children is because if you're taught the whole entire time when you're a child that you shouldn't go get education because it's harmful to you, that kid's gonna be fucking stupid. And they're gonna be stupid not because maybe they don't know how to read or they don't know how to write. They're gonna be stupid because this is the kind of logic that they're using to base their decision on. And higher education can be dangerous, is basically what this is saying. All these say the same thing, that higher education could be dangerous. So children are being taught under Jehovah's Witnesses that higher education is dangerous. And it's sad. And then Watchtower goes on to say that they have one of the what is it? One of the like brightest uh some of the brightest people on earth within their organization, but this is what they teach about higher education. When does this describe effective higher education had on spirituality? As I can just tell you right now, that's just gonna be nothing but negative stuff. The battle belongs to, yeah. Of course, they mentioned that in here with his face there. But yeah, this is basically just what I wanted to talk about because I'm sure, like so many others, this is what has you know guided many of Jehovah's Witnesses that grew up in the organization, guided our educational paths because this is just what what we're taught. This is the rhetoric that we were taught. So there's if that's all that you know, that's all that you know. And sadly that's what Watchtower wants to do. Um so do I think that children or teenagers now that are within Watchtower will just be able to go to school and go off to some college campus or whatever and their family be fine about it if they're, devout Jehovah's Witnesses? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't think that this is what this is saying. I think this is saying uh, the governments of the world are tired of our bullshit and they're making us say these things, but we don't really mean it. And the reason why I say that is because of what was stated down here, with as how the society states words additional education. Um, they are tearing it down literally by the letter because they don't like it. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about this and just rant about this for a while because this is just something that honestly blew my mind when I read it. Um, and honestly, kind of just made me not feel good because not jealousy over what others have, but it's just not. It just doesn't feel genuine. Like I said, it does not feel genuine at all. And I just feel like that if everything wouldn't have happened the way that it happened to force them in this direction, they would have, like, this article or this video uh would have been about something completely different. Absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind that them getting pressure from govern multiple governments on their stance of how they uh, teach their children to look at the world, um, they would have never made this video at at all. I mean, it's something that, like, when you're watching it, you just kind of feel like that they're just trying to pull the wool over your eyes just enough to make you say, maybe they're not so bad. Maybe they're not a cult. But they also haven't said why they have changed this yet. And besides, because I'm sure for many, many, many years, people outside Jehovah's Witnesses have pressured them to end what they do to hire to kids who want to go to have higher education, and now they're being forced to, and it feels so good. It really does feel so good that they are being brought to task on their past actions, and I just hope that it continues because I don't really care how this place turns out. I don't ever want to go back there, but at the same time, uh, I know a few people who might have watched this video and it literally just made their skin crawl because it goes against everything that they've been taught uh, their life by Watchtower. How many people is this gonna wake up? I'm wondering. How many people is this gonna wake up? Is this video gonna wake up when they watch it and they say, "Huh, maybe this really is some bullshit"? Because I mean, they have gone back on their, well, they have changed their dress code. Now they have done a full backpedal on their stance on higher education, not because they want to, but because they're being forced to. Um, and unfortunately, I was kind of hoping to get uh, the one where they change their stance on higher education because people that go to school and get degrees get paid more. I mean, even if you cannot get a job for what you went to school in, if you just put on your resume that you got a job, or sorry, that that you went to school for whatever career and you're just trying to make it there, I'm sure that in most places, at least in America, I would feel like that they pay more for people who have degrees, who have bachelor's and associate's degrees, um, or master degrees from from attending college, and they fare better in the job market because of it, even though they might still be working a fast food job. Maybe because of what they did in school, they're getting paid more than the minimum wage because they recognize, like, hey, this person actually went to school, they did it, they have their whole degree, they're just having a hard time finding a job. I'm sure that doesn't hurt them starting off with better pay and also getting raises in the future should they choose to stay here or stay there at that job. Whereas if you look at it from the Jehovah's Witnesses viewpoint, it's just, if you go to school, you're basically should just die or something because you're not being spiritual to Jehovah. It's just, I think I'm being I don't know. I feel like some people do feel like that, but at the same time, I also think that this is what they want to get instill in people's minds, that if they don't do what they say, then they're going to fare badly for it. And a high control group like Watchtower would like nothing more than to have that. And they do. They have that over many of people. Um, because this is just what they're taught, and it's so sad. But anyway, I'm done. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike. Leave a comment. See you later.